on Commissioner Duplo and Kathy Hines, and now with them for employee recognition of Kathy Hines, 20 years of service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kathy, we are celebrating 20 years of service here in the county. She was, I got here hired on my birthday, November 12th. 20 years ago, hired, must be
A good day.
yeah, hired as a computer operations coordinator back then in the controller's office, and is still employed in that position today. Anybody working 20 years in the controller's office, really, it's very much appreciated. Just kidding. You've got a good guy. Thank you for your service. Do you have anything you'd like to say or out?
I do have something.
Okay.
When Kathy started with us in 1996, we took her to a room with 32 AS400 manuals and told her, there you go. We left her to read the manuals. Over the years, every AS400 user came to know Kathy's phone number, heart by heart, and Kathy did an excellent job providing support over those years. Kathy's been the type of employee every department wants, always ready, willing, and able to do whatever is asked of her whenever she has done it or not, whether she's done it before or not. We consider ourselves lucky to have Kathy for the 20 years and hope she's here for another 20 years. Especially while I'm her keeping his calendar straight.
No, I enjoy working in your office, have, and hope to be here for many more years.
You have two watches.
You're great, boss. Just pull together. Give me a smile. And let me take one more. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. That's it.
Move on then to item number 4. Call on Carolyn Wesley, interim head of the county library system, discussion of memorandum of understanding between Cumberland County and Cumberland County Library System. Carolyn, take it away.
Yesterday I delivered to your office the signed copy of the memorandum of understanding. The library system board and the board of commissioners have worked very hard on tweaking the language on this, and we're very pleased with the improvements that will come from this memorandum of understanding.
Any questions for Carolyn or about the MOU?
I think we went through it with many fine tooth combs.
Yes, we've questioned it.
And I think everybody did a great job getting it.
I appreciate your cooperation on it. It's been a really nice experience. I came in late in the game. I came in late in the game. That's
You
true.
had it when he said thanks. Stop while you're at it. Thank you. Item number 5, call on Kate Molinaro, discussion of 2017 Cumberland County Affordable Housing Trust Fund draft budget.
Good morning. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund Advisory Board has approved the draft budget that's before you. Staff were anticipating $195,000 in receipts to the county's Affordable Housing Trust Fund budget. In 2017, this represents a $5,000 increase over 2016 anticipated receipts. And so I'd ask that you consider the budget for approval. I'll just briefly go through the line items. Down payment and closing cost assistance, $130,000. This is no change from 2016. Emergency repair program is $12,500. This represents a $2,500 increase over 2016 as a result of the increase in anticipated revenue. Housing counseling, $15,000, no change from 2016. Administration for the county, $9,750. This is 5% of the total anticipated receipts. No, the slight increase over last year is due to the increase in anticipated revenue. Administration for the Redevelopment Authority, $19,500. This represents 10% of the total anticipated receipts, and again, increased projected 2017 revenue. Down payment closing cost processing fees, $7,000. This is $200 per closing. Anticipated 35 closings, no change from 2016. And delivery, $1,250. This represents a slight increase over 2016 due to the increase in anticipated revenue.
Any questions for Katie? Thank you, Katie. Let's move on to item number 6, upon Sandy Moyle acceptance of the holiday tree donations by the Conservation District.
Yes, Commissioners, this year the tree for the courthouse is going to be donated by the Conservation District. They're buying it from Mountain View Nursery, which is located at 1101 Park Place in Mechanicsburg, PA. The owner of the property is John Deckman, who was the former Conservation District Director. And they plan on picking up the tree on December 6th at 9 a.m. And it will be an 8-foot cannon valued at $55. So, if you would approve the acceptance of the holiday tree, we can have it delivered on December 6th.
Questions for Sandy on the tree?
Would you like the approval today, or Monday's fine?
Thank you, Sandy. I'd like to call on item number 7, discussion 2017 budget on itself. Dana and our solicitor, Keith Brown. We have the ordinance adopting the 2017 budget, the resolution adopting the 2017 budget and ordinance setting the 2017 tax millage rate. This budget and has been discussed thoroughly on multiple occasions. We also have no increase in the millage rate for the county and an increase of, what's the precise number for the
It's .166 will be the new millage rate. It is an increase of up to the library tax of 16.1% or 0.98% of the overall real estate tax.
Is there any discussion or comment on the resolution or the ordinance for the budget and millage rate?
Just a question on section 1A of the ordinance. I noticed that the millage and dollar value was expressed per $100 of assessed valuation. Don't we normally do that by the thousand? Does it matter? Just my only question.
I think it is consistent with the county code. Yes.
Oh,
Any further comment or question?
I have a question for the solicitor. I asked this before, I received no response, so I'll just ask again. There's been considerable discussion outside of this room with regards to potentially significantly increasing some line items. So the question I have is, at what point are we required to essentially submit a new budget document and re-advertise?
When there's an amendment to the advertised budget that results in an expenditure, the total aggregate budget amount exceeding 10%, or any function, which is I'll say a main category, there's an increase in any one function in excess of 25%.
What constitutes a function?
I don't know how the county has all of their categories organized, but typically it's a department. Depending on what other funds cross over into other areas, I'd have to defer to Dana as to a specific function.
Our policy has been that the funds are budgeted at the fund level, not the departmental level.
So in other words, the entire general fund budget would have to
Would
change.
be a functional area.
Within
That would be a functional area.
the general fund itself is one functional area. Okay, that's a pretty big loophole. You're saying 10% or 25%?
Any one function or 10% of the budget in the aggregate in terms of expenditure.
Okay. I think
comments or questions?
Just a comment, we do have a special meeting scheduled for 3:30 this afternoon, in which we're going to be discussing, I think, some of the issues that Commissioner Eichelberger has alluded to. The intent of any proposed action would not be to increase the size of the total general fund budget, more or less to provide clarification on some important issues. So that meeting is scheduled for 3:30 this afternoon. And that may result in slight edifications to pages 62, 63, and 64, which is now listed as a draft, relative to the question of farmland preservation and land partnerships.
So I guess in short, the question is, at what point does the budget be advertised, stop being the budget? I guess I've got percentages to recall.
Sorry, I have no additional question.
All right, then let's move on, please, to item number 8, Columbine High Award, discussion of funding for courts.
Good news and bad news. Bad news is I have my hand out again. Good news is it's AOPC money. It's similar to what we were up against a couple months ago. I don't know if the AOPC watered their money tree heavily this year or what, but I have $10,000 that we front the expense. I go through the hoops with finance. I've already reached out to them to make sure everything's okay. To purchase, and I brought show and tell. They're essentially ballistic shields that are not man shields, but they're positionable for whatever you may need them for. It's a tool in the toolbox that I hate not to get. It doesn't mean they're going to be sitting in entrances all the time, but I envision if we had an emergency or continuity of government issue, we had to move out of the building, we needed some type of ballistic protection for whatever, well, now we would have it. This is just one vendor. I haven't done the research on the different vendors, but the clipboard is an example of material that they're made out of. I think that particular one is rated to stop up to a .308 round or a 7.62 millimeter rifle round, and anything below it.
So just for clarity, your expertise aside,
Yes,
ballistic shield is bulletproof glass.
essentially, it's resistance, not proven. There is something that will go through it.
Resistant.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so that's the
And it's a polymer, it's not glass, but yes, you're absolutely right. There's an example of the actual shields and what they look like is attached. I haven't done much homework on it, but I wanted to get it before you guys get your blessing on it.
We'd offer to test them for you up in the commissioner's office.
We actually, when things expire, we do test them. We shoot vests, we shoot car doors, we shoot a lot of stuff to see how things work and don't work. So if you have any like shot them, I shot a VCR once at home, but that's a long story that I won't get over here.
That's heavy, it's got some weight.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Other counties have used them and
Then
apparently
just let me know so I can be at a meeting somewhere.
Yeah, no problem. Chester County, I believe had them on their own accord prior to their shooting in their courthouse, and they were beneficial. I actually talked to the shooter in that situation, and it's probably what prompted AAPC to release some money for them for everybody else. Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we'll move on to contracts and grants with Sandy.
Thank you, Larry. The next agenda item is 9, Roman numeral 1, A through D, which are existing contracts, contract extensions, or addendas with no additional cost or increase to the county. They include the following departments: Aging and Community Services Agreement with Contact Helpline, Claremont Nursing and Rehab Center Agreement with Post-Acute Physician of Pennsylvania PLC, Commissioners Agreement with Value Payment Systems, and ERP Agreement with Kronos. And Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the above mentioned agreements? Okay, moving on. Number 9, Roman numeral 2, are new contracts, vendor services, grants, and contracts with increases and decreases to the county. We'll begin by calling on Christine, who is joining us via video teleconferencing to discuss the agreement between Aging and Community Services and Jill McGreevy. Christine?
Good morning. We're asking for approval for a contract with Julie McGreevy. She will provide exercise classes to our 3 senior centers located in Carlisle, DeVille, and Shippensburg.
How much are they, Christine?
The classes are $50 each.
So what's the total we pay over?
What's the expenditure?
The cost,
The
total.
expenditure, each senior center is allotted $1,500. And also what happens is they have a contribution box that they collect money for because the $1,500 does not cover the entire fiscal year. So they have a contribution box that they collect money, which is turned into our office, which can be used the next fiscal year. So when when that fund is used up, the classes stop.
Are there any other questions for Christine?
So this isn't a new contract, or it is?
It is a new contract for the western area. We have one for the east side, which is with Movement Arts. So we did not have a contractor for the west side. There were some requirements that changed that she had to meet before we could do another contract with her. We had her several years ago, but now she's coming back because she can now meet the requirements that the state puts on anybody that does the exercise classes.
Thank you.
Christine, we provide the other centers with similar exercise classes?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Provides
the
those.
eastern end of the county, right?
Yes, Movement Arts provides those classes. The person that does that doesn't do the Carlisle, Newville, and Shippensburg area.
Okay.
So they have already had the classes. That contract has been approved and has been ongoing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Thanks, Christine. Next, Bob is here to discuss the agreements between Claremont Nursing and Rehab Center and Capital Blue Cross and Language Line. Bob?
Good morning. Theme music.
It's the floor show.
It's the same song we heard last.
Two great minutes. Good morning. The addendum for Capital Blue should be in front of you. It's for the 2015 Commercial Capital Blue Insurance Agreement. It is based on our actual cost and services rendered to our Capital Blue residents in 2015.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a copy of what you're talking about.
No, we don't normally give contracts and then out. They're just listed on the agenda.
We don't know it. Sorry, we're not looking
No.
at what you're looking, we should be, but go ahead.
No, actually, this addendum is for us to be reimbursed from Capital Blue for our expenses and services rendered in 2015, and based on their annual cost report, Capital Blue will reimburse us $34,061. So I believe your approval would be of the addendum for us to be able to receive those funds for Capital Blue.
And this is something we do every year.
The contract has a clause in it for cost reimbursement based on our actual costs, so this is.
Any other questions on this one?
I'd just like to get a copy of it. Okay.
Certainly.
Thanks, Bob.
Certainly. Okay?
Language line?
Yes. The language line, we are asking for approval for this agreement. The language line is what it is. It is a language service. By rule and regulation, we must have the ability to communicate in the first language of every resident. And if we do not have staff members who are fluent in a given language, then we have to have that ability. And normally that's our plan A, is to have this language service. And so this is plan A for us, and so we are looking for approval for this agreement so that we can meet the regulations.
How much, is there a set amount? Is it as you use it? I mean, I don't think it's reasonable to ask people to make a decision unless you tell somebody that either there's no cost involved, or if there is cost involved, what the cost is.
Understood? This item was in the works prior to me coming to the county. I have not had the opportunity to review this. So I'm not able to tell you exactly what the cost of this
So can
is.
you provide us with that information before we deal with this on Monday, please?
Certainly.
Just, having dealt with language line before, there's generally a sort of set fee to make them available to you, then a usage fee thereafter. But my last contact with language line was years ago. I don't know what's happened to their rates. I have no idea what this will
Sure.
cost. And also, I don't know how much we use them. I know we have to have them. That's not the question. It's just how much it costs them, how much we're going to use them.
Certainly. May I request from the solicitor's office a copy of that agreement so I can review it?
Certainly, I have it right here, I'm trying to find it.
All right, thank you, sir. At your convenience, and I'll do my best to get it to you by Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan is joining us today to discuss the agreement between Drug and Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services Inc. doing business as the RAISE Project. Ryan?
Good morning, Commissioners. The RAISE project provides various drug and alcohol substance abuse services to residents of Cumberland and Perry counties. And we're looking to do a cost reimbursed contract up to the amount of $43,000 for them to provide services to individuals who aren't eligible through other funds.
We work with Rays already, correct?
Not for this particular.
So this is a different service?
Correct.
And even 43,000?
Correct.
Any other questions for Ryan?
What will this do, Ryan, that's not being done today?
This is looking to provide a case coordinator who will be available part-time to provide buprenorphine coordination services. Currently, some residents of the county are eligible for funding through like MA and other sources like that, but there's still a number of people who aren't eligible or who are in the process of getting MA or something like that. So this will just speed up them being able to receive that.
And this is for people who are at a particularly vulnerable point in trying
Correct.
to transition from addiction to rehabilitation. So every day or week or whatever that passes without them getting the treatment increases the probability that they will
Relapse.
relapse. Thank you.
And we're going to be using our state funding for it, so it's not actually
Don't
county
cost
funds.
So this is no cost to the county.
Correct.
Any other questions for Ryan?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, Linda will be discussing the agreement for MHIDD for fiscal year 2016-17 intellectual and developmental disabilities and an agreement for fiscal year 2016-17 early intervention. Linda?
Morning. These two contracts are for sign language, which we are obligated by the state to provide to our consumers. So both contracts are $1,000 each. Last year we paid out probably around $500. We decided to do a contract this year because we don't know, it seems like our increase of having to use them is getting to be more and more. So, but we don't look for it to go over $1,000 a piece.
So Linda, I'm sorry, does this mean that we'll be paying $1,000 regardless of?
Up to,
Up to,
yeah, up to
not to exceed.
reimbursable, not to exceed $1,000
Thank you.
without another contract addendum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Next, Tammy is joining us to discuss the agreement between the Recorder of Deeds and Optical Storage Solutions. Tammy?
This is not a new contract. This is basically a renewal of the same software agreement that we've had in place since 2008. I'm not sure why it's under this portion, except this year I'm trying to do a 2-year contract, basically just to simplify the paperwork involved. This is not a general fund expense. This comes from my record improvement account, so it's completely paid for there. There's a little bit of a dip in the price for 2017 because I added a license for planning this summer, and that software agreement was already covered. But the price has not changed since I've been recorded. It's exactly the same.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Ryan.
Thank you, Sandy. Moving on to item number 10, call on Holly Sherman, discussion of 2017 to 2019 excess workers' compensation.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are self-insured for our workers' compensation. So as a requirement by the Commonwealth, we have to have excess workers' compensation insurance. The HDH group went and contacted 12 carriers for quotes. The only carrier that was able to provide the level of coverage that we need was Midwest, who we currently have our excess workers' compensation with. And they are looking to renew for 2 years with an increase of $6,330 over that 2 years, and that does not come out of the general fund. It's from the workers' comp trust fund.
Questions for Holly?
It's a $6,000 increase.
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
But the rate gets locked in for those 2 years.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Item 11, Dana, request to authorize advertising for participation in purchase by Cumberland County Facilities.
We're requesting to authorize the food bid. The two departments that use the food bid are the nursing home for their food products and community services for the food bank. The current contracts expire December 31st.
Any questions for Dana? All right, thank you, Dana. I'd like to call on for item number 12, Carrie Feinstock, discussion of application of 2016 Oris Bridge liquid fuels encumbrance.
We want to reduce the encumbrance from $100,000 to $0 for this year because we are not in a forced distribution situation, so we don't need one.
Any questions?
Yeah, can you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry.
We want to reduce it from $100,000 to $0 because we're not in a forced distribution situation.
Thank you. That's the part I missed. Thank you.
Is this unusual?
No, we're starting construction on a lot of bridges, so we have more expenses this year.
All right. Any questions for Carrie? Thank you. Next is the discussion of capital projects request. Kirk cannot be with us. 2 days ago, Kirk distributed details for these 3 capital improvement bridge projects. Maybe Commissioner Hertzler could comment on the Hertzler Bridge, but I think Kirk has provided the relevant material. Bridge rehab total project cost $1.138100. Peggy?
Let me just say for my namesake that this is a critically important project. But again, no relation. But I did have no direct relation. Maybe from many years ago. But I did have an opportunity to talk to Kirk about all these things. And we are moving forward, with these projects, largely because of the fact that we took the action that we did to enact the $5 vehicle registration fee. We are still, in my conversation with Kirk, making sure that we draw down, as much federal and state funding, making sure that we continue to get our fair share. But all of these projects, are being funded. These projects are being funded through the use of liquid fuels, through the use of the $5 vehicle registration fee. And in any event, I'm glad that these are all part of our capital improvement program, and I'm glad that we are in a position to move forward on these important projects. So.
Just allow me to finish for the record. The second one is Edgy Bridge. That's the right pronunciation. I apologize. Reservation work, total project cost $650,000. Uncle Bridge replacement slated for 2017. Total project cost $2,338,497. Any other further question or comment on these 3 capital projects? Okay. Thank you. Okay, number 14. Approval to amend the 4-year term recommendations for reappointment of Mark Simpson, Dennis McGee, and Kathy Durant of the Cumberland County Local Emergency Planning Committee to a 5-year term. This is commencing January 1st, 2017 and expiring December 31st, 2021. Commissioner Hertzler, will guide us through this maze, originally approved at the November 21st, 2016 Board of Commissioners meeting. And there is an action required.
More or less, this is just a reaffirmation of what we've previously done with the correction to the fact that they are 5-year terms as opposed to 4-year terms. So I will make a motion to approve these recommendations for reappointment to the Cumberland County Local Emergency Planning Committee. Mark Simpson, Dennis McGee, and Kathy Durant.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. Moving on to the Commissioner Liaison reports, we'll start with Chairman Defoe.
Yes, I have one. Library board met on November 21st, and they approved the revised memorandum of understanding with the library system requirements for tax increase and conditional grant performance measures. They approved the revised fund balance policy to redefine solvency to 125 days of contingency funds. The library card suspension policy was approved, which suspends card privileges if the card holder owes any money, has more than 100 items checked out, etc. That will become effective March 1 of next year. As we know, Carol Bletchley was appointed the interim executive director, and the executive search committee members to find a permanent member will include Paul Gold, Kevin Stoner, Paul Fisher, Cindy Stratton, and Sue Erdman. The library did get a bid regarding Wi-Fi hotspots from T-Mobile. The bid looked good, they're going to move forward with it. The library tax request increase, as was discussed, will be approved. It does equate to an overall property millage increase to the county of less than 1%. Of course, we had our unofficial farewell to Jonelle Barber. The last day of work was November 23rd. I have asked Jonelle to get back in touch with us so we can officially recognize her, hopefully at the December Commissioners meeting. And that's all I have, Larry.
Any questions or comments for Chairman Defoe? Commissioner Herzog.
Okay, the Cumberland County Housing and Redevelopment Authority boards met Thursday afternoon, November 17th. As I previously shared with my colleagues, work is nearing completion on the development of a memorandum of understanding to ensure collaboration and cooperation between the Housing and Redevelopment Authority and the Cumberland Area Economic Development Corporation on the mutual no wrong door approach to the goal of revitalization and economic development throughout our county. And my understanding is that the MOU should be in a position to be finally approved within the next month. Some very good news, our housing authority is in receipt of a letter from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development recognizing our housing authority with a perfect 100% score on its performance rating in its handling of the federal Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program in our county. My understanding is that there aren't too many other counties who have achieved such a high rating. Also, at the present time, there are 1,290 low-income Cumberland County families who are receiving rental assistance through the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program in our county. Also, at the meeting on the 17th, 3 individuals were recognized with awards for their efforts to achieve and maintain self-sufficiency. Amanda Burton Stresser and Josh Hardy, parents of 4 young children, and who were previously living in Safe Harbor, were honored with the Yvonne Heckler Award. Since coming to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, both Amanda and Josh have maintained consistent employment and are working hard to provide for their family. The award is named after a former longtime supervisor of the Housing Choice Voucher Program in our county. In addition, a young lady by the name of Precious Gay, the mother of a 7-year-old son, was honored with the 2016 George Hoopie Award. Ms. Gay, also a recipient of housing assistance, has maintained employment as a CNA at Thornwall. I told her we're always looking for CNAs at Claremont.
Especially ones that stick around.
And she's also a full-time student. And the Hoopie Award, lest we forget, is named in the memory of George C. Hoopie, a longtime citizen servant in our community and chairman of our housing authority for nearly 25 years, who made his mark by advocating for programs to help those less fortunate attain the objective of home ownership, financial independence, and social responsibility. Mr. Hoopie passed away in 2007 at the ripe old age of 101. The Aging Advisory Board met Friday afternoon, November 18th. I apprised the advisory board members of our plans to engage our library system with the development of intergenerational programs benefiting young and old, and also made them aware of the fact that we look forward to their input in working with our library as that program and those programs move forward. There was also significant discussion regarding the ongoing snags with the state's contract with Maximus that is delaying aging waiver enrollment of eligible Cumberland County seniors who are in need. This is and remains a statewide problem, which was a hot topic of discussion at our recent County Commissioners Association conference as well. The advisory board has recommended our approval of a couple of new appointments and reappointments to terms on the Aging Advisory Board. I believe my colleagues should have received a list of those appointments and reappointments. And if there are no objections, I would ask that we consider those for action at our Monday regular meeting. Just to go back to the fall conference of the County Commissioners Association, which was held commencing Sunday, November 21st through Tuesday, November 22nd. There is no question that the big takeaway from the conference was grave concern regarding the state of our state government's finances, with a report from Pennsylvania's Independent Fiscal Office that shows the current state budget is at least $500 million out of balance, and that the deficit could climb to $1.75 billion in the upcoming fiscal year. There is legitimate concern not only about the potential for mid-year state budget cuts, but also about the potential for another lengthy state budget impasse, even as counties continue to deal with the consequences of the fiscal 2015-16 state budget impasse. At our CCAP Board of Directors meeting, there was talk about what we can do to hopefully impress upon our legislators the need to find common ground sooner rather than later, and to pass a responsible state budget on time. The fact of the matter is that is the only obligation our legislators have on an annual basis, is to pass a state budget by the June 30th deadline. There was near unanimity from our commissioner colleagues across the state that critical services counties provide in the areas of mental health, child abuse, substance abuse, long-term care, and intellectual disabilities should not again be held hostage to a budget impasse and an interruption of state funding while all state workers and our legislators continue to be paid. Of course, much more on this ahead, but very simply, Cumberland County and our providers of these critical services, should not have to shoulder the cost of the burden for the state's failure to meet its funding obligations. And those funding obligations which are under the law and often mandated. I know that our chief clerk has already been working with our staff to prepare for the worst, and CCAP will be engaged and is developing a strategy. I think one of the things that came out of the conference was that it's important for us to be an information source for our legislators as to the importance to get this job done on time. Yesterday I attended the meeting of the Cumberland York Local Defense Group that was held at the DLA, the Defense Logistics Agency in Cumberland. We met at the newly constructed DLA headquarters on site which is a LEED Silver building containing a state-of-the-art auditorium and some 30 conference rooms. And while I had known of DLA's importance to our nation's defense and branches of the service, and as a distribution point for our military bases around the world, and the thousands of people who are employed there, I was impressed to learn that the inventory held at this 832-acre site just outside of Cumberland totals a whopping $110 billion. It's an important facility, and it, along with the Navy Shipyard Control Center in Hamden Township and the Army War College and the Army Heritage Education Center, are critical components to our local economy. At the meeting itself, we heard an update on a study being conducted by Michael Baker Associates to more thoroughly underscore the importance of these military facilities to our local economy. While numerous interviews have been conducted in this process, including with each one of us as county commissioners, I was surprised to learn that there has been no meetings yet with our counterparts in York County. That's something that we can arrange and encourage our commissioner colleagues in York County to participate in. And I also noted, just an editorial for clarification, that while this consultant apparently has interviewed a lot of folks, they also interviewed Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, and I just noted that for the record, that Cumberland County with its own planning department, planning commission is no longer a member of Tri-County. But I guess it doesn't hurt. But in any event, we'll move forward from there. So that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Hertzberg? Commissioner Eichelberger?
Okay, a handful of items. On planning, some of these projects we discussed earlier. I'll just mention it. Craighead Bridge was started, the construction started on Monday. Completion will be fall of 2017. Planning Department also was in attendance last night at the public launch of the Cumberland revitalization effort. And we all received an invitation. I was in the room. I'm not sure if anybody else did, but Kirk sent me a note saying that they had about 100 people show up. I think that speaks very well of the community in Cumberland. There's a great deal of interest in not only what happens, but what role they as citizens can play. That's what we need to see for these efforts to be successful. So our hats off to the county planning has been helping to develop this strategic planning documentation and some funding source assistance as well. Just a reminder, Monday we have our meeting with Representatives Bloom and Rothman. I assume that's still on. I didn't see any changes to the calendar. And we'll be discussing, of course, the recycling law changes that need to be made, and they're interested in helping promote those changes through legislative action. Also, regarding the RFP that we sent, that we distributed for vendors regarding recycling materials, Justin sent me a note saying that they're getting some interest in the non-OEM version. And they have 5 recyclers have shown interest, and as we sat here a minute ago, I got a note from Kelly back in our office that someone else was calling the commissioner's office asking for information on that. I went ahead and forwarded his information to Justin. He just sent me a note back saying he'll be called to discuss the RFP. So we have at least 6 folks who are interested. That's a vast improvement over what we've seen in the past in our attempts to get a commercial recycler involved in finding a solution for Cumberland County. So that's hopeful. We'll keep an eye on that and keep everybody in the loop on how that proceeds. Only other item I have is, I think most of this we may have already covered. The Economic Development Corporation has sent a note around about projects that were funded or funding has been awarded to USDA grants, Department of Ag grants. For instance, were announced and Cumberland County received 5 of the 16 statewide awards that were made. So we're putting a good showing there in terms of supporting our ag support businesses. We all received a copy of the news release regarding CADE's partnership with Shippensburg University to promote regional economic development. Just a reminder on that. The planning study request that goes to HATS regarding the proposed interchange redo near the Army Heritage Center. And that apparently is progressing, and that's going to be reviewed on Friday, so hopefully we'll get some feedback on when the state's able to help us pursue that in the near term. Just a reminder, the Tourism Grants Breakfast, it's held every year. This year is scheduled for January 17. It'll be held at the Vault right down the street here, about half a block away. And that follows our CADIC board meeting, which will be 8:30 to 10:30. At the annual breakfast, which is the first year we're combining with the board meeting, we generally announce the awards for the tourism grants. There'll be a profiling of the projects that are available. The winners, of course, will be announced. And it's an opportunity for us also to tout the successes of the program and to encourage additional potential interest from other applicants. Just as a reminder, that grant program exists. It was founded, I believe, about 6 years ago as a way to leverage resources and ideas from private organizations that are engaged in promoting visitor promotion for our county. And to date, since 2010 was actually the first year it was awarded, initiated, right? Over $515,000 has been awarded to 92 organizations in our county to help with visitor promotion effort. So we're looking forward to continuing that on. And again, commissioner participation is always very welcome at that, January 17th at the Vault. The folks at CADIC asked me to pass along a reminder of the holiday open house that they have each year. Is going to be held the 14th, and it's from 4 to 6 p.m. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Eichelberg?
Just a quick, Gary, that meeting, the Cumberland revitalization meeting Tuesday night, I was able to attend on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. And folks were happy that we had a presence and told them our support for the project. Don Kibler, who's the newest council member there, is really leading the way on this, and I think it's going to turn out to be a good thing.
I just wanted to add that I bumped into Don yesterday, that he was at the Cumberland area York local defense group meeting as well. And I offered him my support and apologize for not being able to make the meeting the night before. One thing, Gary, I did want to mention is the subject about the potential planning for the interchange there in Middlesex Township to better serve AHA is on the technical committee's agenda Friday. And my understanding is they have identified some additional funding in that for the planning part, and that will probably come up for, talking with Kirk, that probably come up for the coordinating committee consideration and approval in 2 weeks. So it is moving forward in terms of getting on the plan. Okay. Of course, whether ultimately becomes a reality is going to depend on a lot of thought.
I'll pass your update along to Jonathan as well, or Katie. So. He's probably not aware of it. So. One other item I'd like to hear was that the Blighted Property Reinvestment Board has 2 expiring seats. So on Monday, we'll be taking action to fill those seats. Staff recommendations came to us. John Eady to be reappointed, I believe, because John's the chair now. Agreement was John. And Robert Weaver of Newburgh. So they both constitute reappointments, so we'll take action on those Monday. Thanks for reminding that.
Jim, did you do yours?
Well, I mentioned the fact, yes, we have, again, a number of appointments. I can mention their names now. I don't know, did my colleagues get a copy of that for the reappointments and the appointments? Yeah, essentially, 3 reappointments: Jean Shade from Cumberland, Teresa Davis of Boiling Springs, and Bola of Nola. And then 2 new appointments, Susan Charles and John Seaton. John Seaton actually previously served on the Aging Advisory Board, but went off the board, and so now he's permitted to come back on after that. They do have term limits there, but he's still interested in serving, and And so they would be, and they're all for 3-year terms. I'll make those motions.
Did you guys get copies of some new library board appointments? Because I just got these. Yeah, we'll do those Monday as well, but I'll get you guys the information. It's to nominate Lou Conser, she's an alternate, to serve as a full-time board member. Judy Solaret, nominated to replace Marcy Whiteside. I think that's it, but I'll get this information to you. It wasn't on the agenda tonight, but we'll work on it Monday. I'll get this information to you guys.
I just want one comment regarding the study that Baker firm is doing. If I'm not mistaken, we paid our contribution to that effort of paying for this study, either all or in part. For them to have gone and talked to the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, frankly, I mean, I don't want to create problems where there's no problem, but frankly, it's an insult, particularly given the circumstances, both past and current, of our relationship with them, but also the fact that the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission does not represent anything remotely associated with planning issues and overall economic development issues regarding Cumberland County. So without being a pain in the butt here, I think it raises questions in my mind about how our money is being used by CADIC with this consultant, if that is in fact what the consultant's doing. And while there's enough strife in this world to last a long time, and I don't think this is a point that should be let slide.
I'd agree with that, but that situation with Tri-County has not been pleasant. They have not been cooperative with us in our efforts to assert fair representation for Cumberland County. I will say that's a fairly recent development, and sometimes not only does it take time to get around, but this is the problem you have when we have all these organizations who self-appoint themselves as so-called regional organizations and go out and sell themselves as being representative of the county and speaking on behalf of our county. And that has been, frankly, an ongoing struggle this county's had for well over a decade now. So I think absolutely we should make our position known to CADIC on that. I don't think CADIC's really setting the boundaries of that program. Michael Baker's professional engineering firm is supposed to know what they're doing. But we should definitely ask the CADIC officials to communicate our feelings on that as strong as possible to us.
That's why, I want to share that because it kind of surprised me. And again, I don't think it hurts. They're interviewing a lot of people, but for them to expend the time there, I don't know why exactly. But I would like to say it probably was just, I think it was deliberate. I think they was just being unaware, perhaps.
In the spirit of the season, I like to say it didn't hurt, but we're dealing with people who have actively gone against the county's interests on a number of things. And if they are talking to them and not to our own planning department, my concern in the worst case scenario is that they would be advocating for things that in fact go against the interests.
I admitted the fact they did talk to our planning department and our planning commissions, as well. But again, they're interviewing a lot of people. I was just surprised to see it on the list of people.
It's also worth noting that Tri-County does not include York County, which is the other partner organization that will cover the York.
And I volunteered yesterday to kind of reach out to York County too. I don't know why York County's not engaged on this, because this is, especially with the TLA or in their county.
And I think the fact that it's our money that's paying for this, I think gives us the right to be precise in what our expectations are. So I appreciate that it was brought up, and I don't mean to make a mountain out of a molehill. I'm sorry, I don't trust
But
this.
you make a good point, which is we need to, whenever these organizations who say they speak on our behalf assert their role, we need to be willing to push back. That's the only way that it becomes known that people need to listen to the county rather than those who say they speak on behalf of the county. You just got to be engaged in that on an ongoing basis till people get the message.
Thank you. Item 16, just a report on executive sessions held November 29th, 2016 at 9 a.m. regarding litigation issues. There's also a request for executive session today regarding personnel issues. Would ask, is there any other business to go out to the Board of Commissioners? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.